Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om. Welcome to the session which deals with the spiritual aspect of the Golden Age. My name is Ram Mohan. For a brief introduction, after spending almost 20 years in the corporate world, me and my wife took to Vedanta, did a 2 years Vedanta course at Sandipani at Chinmaya Mission. And after that, we have been serving the mission through our service to home study courses, teaching Bhagavad Gita, Vedanta, and other texts, also learning from our Acharya at Chinmaya International Foundation, Swami Advayananda. Our journey would have gone predictably like many of us who are going through the aging process, except by the grace of God, certain turning points guided us in the right direction. We got into a satsang in Los Angeles with the Acharya there, which introduced Vedanta to us. And in San Jose, we continued our journey with Swami Bodhatmananda, which actually excited us in this path of knowledge. Then in Atlanta, we made a decision that we would not continue our worldly engagement and made a commitment to systematically learn the foundations of Vedanta. And I can tell you that there is no looking back after that point in time. There are two things that people in this world search. Initially, the quest is for joy, happiness, etc. Gradually, we only want a peaceful, contented life. All of us would have come to realize that. But by the time we come to realize it, we find that neither peace nor contentment is within our grasp. And the battle only becomes harder as we become older. Earlier, we had the energy to sustain the ups and downs that the world put us through. But during the later years, it becomes more difficult to face the rapidly changing value systems, rapidly changing monetary policies, rapidly changing security issues, and also rapidly changing our own body and our health. So there is a battle within ourselves with ourselves, and there is a battle around us with the surroundings which we have inherited. And many of us are finding that the solutions that we practiced in the past no longer are applicable. Why did we come into this position? Why did we get into this kind of situation? What is it that we should do to make this situation change and we remain tranquil and peaceful is the question that spirituality addresses. Spirituality is not to be confused with religion. Religion is a set of practices which connects you with your Ishtadevata, whether it be Jesus, Rama, Allah, it does not matter. The bonding that happens in religion is a physical bond. But spirituality, on the other hand, connects you with the core personality of yourself, which Vedanta declares is not the sorrowful, petty, paltry jiva that you consider yourself to be. And because of our connection to our true self has been lost, and we have moved so far away from the location where that self can be recognized, realized, and appreciated and absorbed, we are struggling today. It's almost like, we are tied to a rope and we are at this end of the rope trying to search for where the center is. As long as you search around and you don't go to your personal core self, the challenge only becomes more and more inimical, more and more challenging, more and more difficult, and mostly time consuming and disheartening. A decision has to be made what we want to do, and it is not too late to make the decision. So in today's discussions, we are going to get a rapid but brief eye view of what are the decision points that we should have considered, where are we today, and what is the way forward. So 3 parts of the presentation will be discussed today. Can you bring up the slide, please? We'll start with a small story from the Upanishad. This story is from Chandogya Upanishad, where the saint Narada, the first saint who was born in the mind of Brahmaji, the creator, he meets Sanat Kumaras, also the mind-born sons of Brahmaji who had preceded him in the birth, and they became realized, meaning they were in touch with their true nature, and Narada comes and meets them, and this is an anecdote in the Chandogya Upanishad, chapter 7. Narada says that I have mastered all that has to be mastered in terms of knowledge in this world. And he gives a huge list of those skills that he has possessed. He says, I know to play veena, I know music, I know dance, I know this. You name this subject, he says, I know it. And in the end, he says to Sanat Kumara, his own elder brother, somehow in spite of knowing all of this, I do not feel complete. There is a nagging sense of incompleteness in me, and in my heart, I am grieving because I feel unfulfilled. And he says, please help me. Such a great saint, Narada, who has guided so many bhaktas to reach God, he himself comes to his own elder brother and pleads, saying that even though I know everything, I feel incomplete. The rest of the Chandogya Upanishad is the teaching of what is known as Brahma Vidya or Atma Vidya, or the knowledge of the self, by Sanat Kumara to Naradji. If you look at our state today, we are not too far away from Naradji. We have tried almost every possible means that was available to us to make our lives perfect. We would have tried for the best education. We would have tried to get the best kind of environment. We would have tried to get into a relationship which is the best possible one known to us. And we would have also amassed wealth, name, fame, and we would have been a respected person all around us. But if you look at that journey, there was always success and failures. You will find that in everything you did not succeed. So first of all, our efforts does not automatically mean success. There is a grace factor which is required before that effort can be translated into success. We come to realize that there is a God factor involved in our life, whether we like to accept it or not. That's a different case. And even if we made a successful venture, we have always been plagued with the fear that how long will it last? Because our experience tells us that nothing in this world is permanent. This happens in the later part of our years. Initially, we think there is a permanency, but gradually we come to know that nothing in this world is permanent. Dear friends who were there yesterday are not there today. Family which was bonded is no longer bonded today. Friends who were growing up with us have vanished. Jobs have been changed. Money which came to us suddenly goes away. So if you look at worldly experience, you will realize there is no permanence in our achievements. And now we are at the junction where we find that even putting in the effort to change our environment is becoming challenging. This seems to be a very depressing statement I'm making, but I'm just making it so that we set the stage to know what are we getting into and how are we going to get into it. This is what is known as in Sanskrit, sthanu stambhanyaya. Before you pull out a pole, you'll have to shake it. If you don't shake it, the pole will not come out of the hole where it is. So this so-called depressing picture that I have painted is not to make a mockery of our efforts or not to make a mockery of what we did is right or wrong. I am very sure that all of us did the best under the circumstances. But why am I making the statement and why am I bringing sage Narada into the picture is to make us realize that even great people have faced the same problem that we have faced, and they have also found a way out, even though there was a lot of time gap between when they decided to approach and when they decided to gain the knowledge. Can you bring up the next slide? So our plight, the senior citizens' plight here, that even after enjoying our youthful life, we feel that it is not adequate. If you look at our heart and sincerely try to make an introspection, we find that our desires have not subsided. We are having same amount of desires, only the quality and the focus has changed. Earlier we would have thought making money, now we want our children, grandchildren to always be constantly with us, etc. The second thing we will notice that earlier our body would withstand any amount of pressure we put on it, but now our body does not cooperate with our ventures. The things that I used to do effortlessly earlier have become difficult to manage today. And we noticed that our anger, jealousy, and pride did not go away in spite of whatever we did. In fact, it seems to be increasing. We feel more anger with the people who do not comply with our views and opinions. And we feel jealous of others who are seemingly more successful than us. And if you have been lucky and you have an environment where everything has been great for you, there is a pride which comes out in every statement you make. You know, my son or my daughter is so and so great and they are all wonderful. I have got the greatest grandchild in the world and I've got the greatest respect among my colleagues in this ashram where I am, etc., etc. But heart of heart, you will notice that there is a helplessness that is creeping in gradually. The helplessness is because we are not able to accept the aging process properly. And the aging process brings with it the associated issues which we are not able to accept, nor able to overcome. Because we don't feel complete, we start looking for 4 things even when we are in the senior citizen stage. We look for additional security. Earlier, I would leave the door open and not worry. Now I have 4 cameras and 5 devices inside to monitor everything around me. I do not know if I'll fall in the bathroom also. So I'll put 1 camera there. And we also seek a particular kind of companionship which matches our temperament. We cannot accept everybody who walks in. The moment somebody comes in, there is a suspicion in our mind. Will he be compatible with me? Will he be able to adjust to my way of thinking? And does he have the same values that I do? Does he come from the same religious background, the same taste and food habits? Does he also watch the same movies I do? All these things we check. Companionship, we are more fickle-minded now than before. Earlier, our friends in school, we never even bothered to see what was their background. We became friends. But now you see, when you go into the senior citizen homes, you will see compartmentalizations. And the fourth problem is we are so much finicky about our health. That is why this whole course, we spend a lot of time looking at health aspect, and then one day we are giving further spirituality. Not a problem. It is a must. Definitely, our health is important. Activities are important. We need to be active. And the fourth one, which I forgot to mention, is that we seek some kind of activity to keep us engaged. One of the challenge we face is if we are unwanted, we actually become more miserable than anybody else. So we want activity, we want company, we want security, and we want health. These are the four things that we are. This is a story of many of us who are in the golden age, unwittingly reaching that age. If they did not plan for it, this is the plight. So we are going to look into this plight a little bit more deeply to find out where exactly the problem lies. Next slide, please. In retrospective, we have to get a bird's eye view of how our Sanatana Dharma, which is the name given to Hinduism. Hinduism is a wrong name for it. Sanatana Dharma is the way of life, which was the dictation of our Vedas itself, identified that a person is driven by a matrix which contains of 4 factors which are known as inclinations, and 4 other factors which depends on the period of our life. So if a person has got scholarly inclination, or he could have a service and control inclination, or a wealth creation inclination, or some other kind of general inclination, the student period of all these people is common, and the focus is only should be on study. Now, if you find our trouble started even there, even when we were studying, many of us did all other things other than just studying. We were distracted. We found more pleasure in non-study activities than in the study activity. Of course, we passed, we graded, thanks to God's grace, we got a great intelligence, and we all survived the ups and downs of life and made something of a mark for ourselves. But that is grace factor. But if you look back and say, did you spend all your time in studying during the student period? The answer would be no from all of us, including me. Then we moved into what is known as a householder period, which is generally after marriage and we form a home. The focus for the scholarly inclined people would be to learn, teach, and guide. This was the prescribed activity for them. Many of us did not do that. All the scholars started making money. So they switched from scholarly inclination to wealth creation inclination. Then the service and control inclination is to control and protect the society as guided by the scholars. But they decided that we don't need any scholarly support. I've got the mass of people with me. Let me manage my life as it is. And that's how they spent their time. Those who were wealth creation inclination, those who had that, they were to create the wealth for the society as guided, but they neither followed guidelines nor did they bother about the society. They just created wealth for themselves. And finally, the other kind of people were to serve the society as guided, but they only served themselves. They just didn't bother about the society. And you will find all these omissions on all the 4 categories has put us into a spot today. Then comes the period when we should have withdrawn from the world, where we minimize all our needs and stay aloof and focus on God. It surprised me that the major activity in Atlanta, where a senior citizen group of people were saying, was only to spend time together to watch the whole Hindi movies. And when we suggested that we will give them some insights into Vedanta, no takers. So even in withdrawal period, we find there is no withdrawal. In fact, people want more responsibility. There are people who stay with their children, imposing their views and opinion on the children, whether they like it or not. And even if they were being browbeaten, they are willing to stay there. Interestingly, in Mahabharata, the Dhritarashtra after the war stayed with the Pandavas, and literally Pandavas were, especially Bhima, was not at all happy with him, and he would insult him at every point in time, and this person would turn a blind eye towards all that insult and still come and eat there and enjoy the food, till Vidura comes and tells him, what are you trying to do? Is it not time for you to withdraw? And that wakens him up, and then both he and Gandhari along with Kunti leave for the forest. That is the withdrawal we are talking about here. A withdrawal should start the moment you have seen the eyes of your grandchild. This is the prescription as per our Vedic way of life. Many of us, we actually start our life householder only after we see the grandchild's first eyes. Anyway, then comes the recluse period where you have to be only with yourself, realize God, and abide in your divine nature. Can you click once, please? We are now here, the withdrawal period, all of us. Click once more. And we should have done this, which we have not done. So we are now at a point, our ability to minimize our needs, stay aloof, and focus on God is challenged because we did not do what we should have done before. And we are now in the withdrawal period. We don't think we are in the withdrawal period. We still want to be a householder, but a different kind of householder, that's all. So some reality checks have to be done before we take a point and move forward. Can you bring up the next slide, please? Is it lack of faith in a higher power that is a problem for us, which is what most people think? People think those who are agnostic or those who are atheist are the people who are struggling in life. That is not true. This chart will tell you this is the percentage of religion. Only 16% of the world's population is non-religious. The rest of them all follow one faith or the other. And even amongst the 16% of the world population, which is non-religious, many do believe in a higher power. They don't accept the so-called God as Jesus or Krishna or Rama, but they still believe in a higher power. So the answer to our woe is that we only have a lower spiritual quotient, though we have a higher religious quotient. All of us have high religious quotient, but we'll have very low spiritual quotient. How come we are all religious, but our spiritual quotient is low? Our spiritual evolution during our formative stage, which is the householder and the student life, has stagnated due to lack of right knowledge that should have been imparted to us during our education, that is Atmana Jnana, and understanding of the world in the right perspective, which is the Jagat Jnana, and understanding the role and responsibility of God and what is our relationship with God and how should we understand God, which is Ishvara Jnana. All three are lacking in us. The cause for low spiritual quotient is wrong goals and pursuit during our prime. So now we have defined the problem. We know what the problem is. We did some mistakes in the past. Now we have to think how to solve it. Usually what happens is that if in your house you are trying to boil milk and your attention was spent elsewhere and the milk boils over, the amount of milk that is boiled over is lost. You're not going to get that back by any effort. But what you can do from that point of time is to decide how to use the balance in a more effective and efficient manner, number one. And how do you recover from that loss of milk, which is going to give a certain vacuum in your life, because that much of products of milk is going to be reduced in your life. You must learn to live with it. So spirituality for us is going to give us two things. One, how do we overcome the mistakes that we did and forge ahead from this point in time? And then how do we actually live with these limitations which have been imposed by us on ourselves? Next slide, please. The challenge that we are going to have from now onwards, the challenge we had right in the past, the challenge is the same. Every time we are in front of a choice that we have to make, you will find that the pleasant and the path of good opens up in front of us. Usually the path of good is just an announcement and nothing fanfare about it, and nobody comes and gives you any free meals to get there. So path of good comes innocently and subtly. And so you have to be alert to choose the path of good, but path of pleasant comes with all its fanfare. In 5 minutes, you'll get a car from here to there, etc., etc. So we have to make a decision to say that from this point in time, I will always choose the path of good. I will avoid the path of pleasant, because I have seen from my own experience that the path of pleasant has not brought me anywhere. It has allowed me to go in circles. Every time the roulette wheel runs, I lose money, I gain money, I lose money. In the end, the balance sheet is still zero. It never went up, never went down. Therefore, you have to say, let me now go towards the path of truth, the path of good, the path of what is right. Let's take a deeper insight into how did we choose between the path of pleasant and path of good. Next slide, please. There are four Purusharthas defined in Vedanta. Moksha, which is freedom from this struggle of life and death. Dharma, the righteousness that we have to practice in life. Kama, the desire that we have to entertain in life. Artha, in terms of wealth, name, fame, etc., that we have to get in life. The right order of priority is our goal should be to free ourselves from this game. Let us get out of the game should be the focus. If not earlier, at least now. And in this journey, the second thing that we have to do is that dharma should become important in our life, at least now. Earlier we had kama, artha maybe, but right now dharma should be the way of life. Make a decision that I will become righteous from this moment onwards. Then you're on the right direction. Now, if you have righteousness, then automatically kama and artha will take a second seat. They cannot become at the top. It is kama and artha which makes you go wrong. It is for the sake of wealth, name and fame that we become unrighteous. It is for the sake of desires for objects, people and experience that we actually are allowing adharma in our life and around us also. So here we have to make this decision that my kama and artha will be subsumed under dharma, and dharma I will use so that I get moksha, not anything else. This should be the order. But what did we do? Can you click once more? We put kama, desire, at the top. So every time when I am living my life, my desires become the most important thing in my life. Artha, which is wealth, name and fame, is subsumed in our desire. So I desire wealth, therefore I'll go after wealth. I desire name and fame, I will go after name and fame. As far as moksha, I don't even know what it is. And dharma has already become adharma because of the choices we make. This is the wrong order of priority. So now we have to do that undoing of whatever priorities we had so far in our life. Can you bring up the next slide? The undoing the damage done to our body, mind and our spiritual personality. Dr. Srinathn talked to you about the damage done to our body and mind. and he gave you a great insight on how to correct that. And my job is to talk about the damage done to our spiritual personality and how do we actually correct that. So taking up yoga, meditation is the best means for us to bring some degree of serenity in our mind, because our mind has been damaged severely because of our lifestyles, and we have to bring back certain amount of health back to our body. It is mandated. So that much you must allocate time for yoga and meditation in your life. It is an important thing from this point in time. But to increase our spiritual quotient, there are three paths that are available. Those who are inclined towards the path of bhakti, where they believe and actually are devoted to an Ishta Devata, a god principle or a god to whom they can connect with emotionally, the path of bhakti is recommended for them. Cultivate a habit of listening to stories that pertain to our Ishta Devata, whether it is from Bible, Quran, or from thing, it does not matter. But you have to develop that association with that Lord and try to know that Lord in depth based upon how people have related to him in the past. And more you read, you will get more insightful understanding of our own Ishta Devata that strengthens the bond of devotion. That alone allows the grace of Bhagavan to flow back to you. Unselfishly worship and pray to the Almighty for the welfare of the entire cosmos. Earlier we were praying for our own personal desires, name, fame, etc. Now you say, Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Let the whole world become peaceful, and you contribute your mind and intellect towards such a prayer. And try to capture the name and form of the Lord as much as your mind and intellect can do it. So spend more time in looking at God's frame, picture, stories, and connect with that name and form of God constantly. And finally, perform the Nama Japa of one's Ishta Devata. This is the most powerful means to control a reluctant and wayward mind. If your mind is always going towards many things, Japa is the means to bring it back under control. Now, if you ask me, how did I align up all this list? It looks so well presented in colors and all that. The source is actually Uttarakanda of Ramcharitamanas, where there is a conversation between Kakabhushandi, a saint who is a crow, and Garuda on what is it that a bhakta will do when he is totally aligned with God. And these are all the four habits that Kakabhushandi tells Garuda Bhagavan in that Ramcharitamanas, with Swami Tulsidas has given to us. Sources Doha 57. Those who are interested can actually search it out in the internet, get it, and get to know that what I have listed here is not too far from that. I only translated through some wordsmithing to make it more clearer for our understanding. So mostly what I'm talking is from the scriptural knowledge. Nothing is from me, and I'm only using the knowledge that my acharyas have given to present it in a way so that all of us can quickly grasp it. The next means for those who are, next slide please, those who are in the path of active life. There are people who feel that there is a lot of energy in them. They would like to do something. So start serving for the welfare of the society. Start with your own community and start looking at your life, shaping the way others are able to enjoy their life. Selfless service to the society is the first step. Now, when you say selfless service, don't go and do whatever they are asking you to do. That is not selfless service. You should ensure that whatever you do is going to also increase their spiritual quotient. In addition to it, will elevate the other quotients which are dropping, health or other wealth related issues that they are having. You bring it up to a point so that you can support them. Don't give them more than what they need, but focus on improving their spiritual quotient. That kind of service is what is meant by service for the welfare of the society. Dedicate all your actions when you're doing as a service to the society to that Lord himself, and accept the outcomes that are coming as his grace. So sometimes when you try to do good things, we always expect people should immediately become holy and say, yes, yes, you're doing a great job. Believe me, many saints were thrown bricks also. They did not get welcome. Even Shankaracharya suffered from all these challenges in many places. So whether the results are good or bad, we become we become internally equipoised so that we accept all the results and accept it as just the grace of Bhagavan. At this point, this is what he wanted me to experience. And when we go through these bad and good results, when we are going through bad results, understand the negativities in you are actually being drained away. And when you're going through good results, understand this is only Bhagavan's grace factor that is becoming visible to you. In both ways, it is only Bhagavan's grace. And Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4.4.5 reiterates this point. It says, one becomes virtuous by virtuous action, others become bad by bad action. So if you are activity based, avoid all the actions which will cause harm to others and focus on those activities which will enhance the society around you and expand the society as your energies are more. Those who want to contribute to a small community, do that. Those who want to contribute to the entire world ecosystem, please do that. If you have the energy and support and people like-minded along with you, the choice is yours. It is not how vast it is, but how involved you are in it that decides the path of karma or active life. The path of knowledge contains three activities: Shravanam, listening with faith and understanding the words of the wisdom of the scriptures; contemplating on the true purpose of Vedantic message, Manana; and abiding in our true nature in meditation, Nididhyasana and Samadhi. And this is also from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4.5.6, where sage Yagyavalkya is instructing his own wife Maitreyi, and he says, self, my dear, is realized by hearing of the truth, reflecting on the truth, and meditating upon that truth. All that this is known, all that which is known in the scriptures, that is what he wants his wife to know. And such a knowledge is what is known as path of knowledge. We have to, if we are inclined towards that, we should take that path. Next slide, please. There is some supportive lifestyle which we have to inculcate so that these paths can be followed without any strain on our part. The first thing that we have to do is bring some moderation in our worldly pursuits and consumption. Earlier, we had an unbridled life where worldly pursuits were whatever we liked, we did. And whatever we wanted to consume, we consumed. Now, body is already telling us stop, and many things we have given up. But the mind is still hankering of those pleasures. It does not come to rest. And that is why you find more people irritated when their body does not cooperate, but they want to eat all those good things that they had enjoyed in the past. So first is that we have to switch eating for the taste and switch to eating for our health. That's the first step. Majority of us have already fallen into this regime. We all know it. But still, it's a point to understand. We have to accept that eating for health as an axiom in our mind because it is the right thing to do, not because it has been forced on us. Then the second thing is avoid tamasic food. Food which is leftover, food which is spoiled, food which is canned and maintained, we have to reduce. Many of us succumb to this in this fast life. We put everything cooked, put it for a week in the fridge and take it one by one. That is tamasic. We need more sattva in our life, so we have to avoid tamasic food. Rajasic food comes under two categories. That which is required as a medicine for our body, which I said eat for health, right? As long as our health dictates that we have to consume some Rajasic food, only that much of Rajasic food we should eat and stop. Because Rajas also is going to lead to selfishness, it will lead to anger, pride and all those jealousy things. Therefore, we have to minimize that and increase Sattvic food. The fourth thing is entertainment that we are enjoying, the TV programs that we choose must be in alignment with our spiritual goals and not our material goals or other kind of needs. This is a big shift we have to do in our life, that whatever we engage as an entertainment should be focused on increasing our spiritual wealth. And avoid all inauspicious things. Vedanta declares discussions about cheating that is happening. Somebody cheated on somebody, somebody cheating somebody else for money, exploitation happening, murder, politics, etc. Avoid them. Even if the newspaper contains it, you may even ban the newspaper because it's of no use for our spiritual journey. Let the world go through all those ups and downs. That phase of our life is gone. We should look at now only those items which will give us peace and tranquility in us and not agitate us. Where is the source of this supportive lifestyle? Bhagavad Gita chapter 2.4.5 says, Nitya Sattvasto Nir Yoga Kshema Atmavan. Don't look at whether the wealth will be preserved, whether my comfort will be presented, etc. and all that, and become only Nitya Sattva. Mean always sattvic in nature you have to cultivate, is what Bhagavan says in 2.4.5 Bhagavad Gita, and this set of points are related to that. Next slide, please. The company we keep, we have to make a conscious decision on that. Seek people and mingle with those who are spiritual. This is the most important thing. We should avoid the wrong company. If you want to accelerate your spiritual quotient, which is already lagging behind, you have to make the conscious decision not to go with people who are having lesser spiritual quotient than you. You should go towards those who are more in this path than you. Thereby you get guided by their experience, their information, which will accelerate your own process of abiding in your true nature. Seek out Mahatmas who are already in this path, listen to them and follow their advice. And Bhajagovindam says, Satsangatve Nissangatvam. Satsanga means company of Mahatmas. Nissangatvam means you get detached from the worldly pulls and pleasures. Therefore, our mind becomes equipoised, and therefore we can face or lead a life of Karma Yoga or take to Jnana Yoga also. The third point is time management. See, so far we have never managed time. In fact, we allowed time to manage us. So whenever we wanted to do something, we allowed it to happen as it happens. Now become conscious that this nature has got a rhythm like sunrise and sunset. So our sleep and waking pattern should be aligned with that sunrise and sunset. Accordingly, our eating pattern, bathing pattern, everything should be aligned towards that. Our body rhythm matches the cosmic rhythm is an important aspect of time management. And pull out some time from your life to your spiritual needs. Like you have time to eat, time to play, time to enjoy, all that. Put a slot for time to become spiritually active. And also give more time to contemplate in solitude. Don't get perturbed if you are alone. Welcome it, because in aloneness you are actually with yourself, not with anybody. And that mind which has become tuned by the company we keep and the kind of food we eat will gradually be able to move towards the truth effortlessly, and it will not complain. It will never say I'm lonely. It will simply say I'm alone. Ekaki yata chittatma nirashir aparigraha, says Bhagavad Gita 6.10. Ekaki is being alone. Yata chittatma, one who is going to go and look for the truth within, should have no desire to take somebody else's things which others have got. You don't seek that. And nor will you have any more desires of your own. Such a person will be able to do a better time management, says the Bhagavad Gita. Next slide, please. Now, in order to facilitate this, there is a FIR model which is fairly well known, but I'm going to bring it for ourselves, so that this is a tracking sheet that you can maintain for yourself. And one should not share this sheet with anybody, even your doctor or your spiritual guru. Don't share this. This is only for you. The FIR model is based upon frequency, intensity, and recovery, and it's a tracking sheet that we can maintain. On the columns on the left hand side, we put out all the qualities classified as to qualities which I wish to inculcate, which I don't have, and qualities which I have, which I want to give up. Anger, okay, all that we want to give, negativities. And satsang, entertainment, good quality food, etc., we need to inculcate. Then you start monitoring on a daily basis whether how frequently is this inculcation of good qualities increasing. How frequently are you able to see improvement in the cultivation of good qualities? It's just a tick mark which you make. You simply say yes, partial, something which is known to you, start marking it. And then you track the sheet over time. Make one sheet for each day and then see whether there's a progress in time where partial becomes fully yes, or no becomes yes, or no becomes partial. You can track your progress. Sometimes no will become partial, and again it will become no on a bad day. Does not matter. You keep on tracking it and let your mind know that you're tracking it, and automatically your mind will draw towards getting that. This is known as a game theory in computer parlance. The moment you start tracking it, your mind will align itself to perpetuating that goal. And this is a very simple exercise which has been proved very helpful for many people. So food, am I keeping the right kind of food? Am I avoiding the wrong kind of food? So food and entertainment, both are filled in qualities that I wish to give up and qualities that I would. So it will come in two places. You have to give up the negative food and negative entertainment and inculcate positive food qualities like sattvic food and sattvic entertainment. Have I started japa? Is it successful? Am I able to increase the number of times I'm able to chant? Am I able to give more time to God? All that is the frequency. My intensity is how much of japa I'm doing per day. And recovery is occasionally if I'm missing a japa mala, if I forget chanting all the 108, am I getting interruption? Am I able to bring back my mind into japa as soon as I get an opportunity? Children will come and disturb us. Many kind of interruptions will come in our life. Health issues may also disrupt us. Does not matter. Find out whether you are able to recover back to a pattern. Are you able to resume that pattern of bringing that quality back into your life, even if you fall? Does not matter. That is how recovery is tracked. Simple sheet, right? Next slide. One question that will come is it too late for me to start? I missed the boat in the initial, as you said, and now you're giving me all this technique. Maybe it's meant for younger people. We have to see that Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says that it only takes a moment to realize our true self. So we just need that one single moment in our life. It does not matter when it comes. And the second truth which Gita says is that the grace of Lord is fully bestowed on the seeker of the truth. So if we decide today that we want to seek the truth and we abide in it, the Lord is behind us. The Lord has to be invited to be behind us if we seek material wealth and other things. You have to do prayers. But the moment you say that I am seeking the truth, the Lord comes behind you and he will guide you on the right way. There's no need for a requesting, oh God, I'm going to seek truth, please help me. It is not required. Because he says, Jignasu is my own self. One who is realizing the truth is me alone. And so Bhagavan is very happy if somebody says, I want to see the truth of everything. And the third thing from Gita, which says that even if our body falls, we will be able to continue from where we left off, even in the next Janma. So we are actually ensuring that our spiritual quotient is protected across Janmas, unlike other quotients. Therefore, start now. There is nothing because the Lord is behind us and we should start. Next slide, please. Graceful aging doesn't happen in a few days. This is a quote from the book called Art of Graceful Aging by Swami Tejomayananda. It doesn't happen in a few days, weeks, or months. It's a long process. So aging process that we have to cultivate takes time. But if it is followed, its rewards are great. Grace comes only when we start living a beautiful spiritual life. If we live a healthy life, we don't get grace. If we live a beautiful, wealthy life, there's no grace. Only when you live a beautiful spiritual life, the grace of Bhagavan descends on us, which is the greatest thing we can earn for. Otherwise, the days merely come and go. Conscious living in remembrance of the Lord is how we must make our lives meaningful, joyful, a blessing to ourselves and also others around us. You become the model for the world around you by these practices. At least for that sake, do it. Because you will set a pattern to your own children that yes, this can be followed, and they will start recognizing that this is something that they should also think of, if not later, sooner. So you're setting an example for the generations to come by the way you decide how you lead your life today. So there's an opportunity. Swamiji says, don't, Puja Gurudev is very kind. He says, don't lose this opportunity, take it, he says, in that book. Worth reading. That book is a lovely book to study. Next slide. A recap in a nutshell. If mind is playing an important role in our life, adopt a lifestyle of bhakti, and therefore bhakti will have to play a great role in our life. Listening to Bhagavatam or any spiritual book of your choice, whichever religion, perform the puja or singing of hymns, etc., or even the namaz, etc., if you're a Muslim, and sing the glory of God through bhajan. Listen to katha, do japa is the means. If intellect is playing an important role, take Vedanta as your path of life. Vedanta Shravanam, Mananam, Dhyanam, and Samadhi and Satsang. These are the ways to go. If body is playing an important role in your life, adopt a lifestyle in which Karma Yoga plays a great part. Seva, that through Karma Yoga, seek noble ventures, do selfless action, serve the community, the nation, and the ecosystem. In summary. Now, if you ask me, will it work? Next slide, please. Me and my wife have decided to commit ourselves to this path, and we have done it. So I believe anybody can do it, because I'm the least qualified person to have pursued this path. But perseverance and grace of Bhagavan and our acharyas made us take to this path, and we are able to. This picture was taken in the place where Kanakadara Sotram was sung by Adi Shankaracharya. It is known as Swarnatmana, where for the gooseberries, gold coins were showered on the god. And this is my contact details if you need to contact me for anything or some exchange of views and opinions. With that, I've come to the end of the session today, and I will take the next 15 minutes or so for any questions that you may have. Does anybody have questions? Sudha Kumar to everyone. Will the slide deck be shared? I think yes, we can share it, not a problem. Sanju, can you confirm it will be shared?
Yes, I can share.
Okay. Slides will be shared, not a problem. There's nothing confidential in this slide. They're all from the Upanishads and the Gita. It's public knowledge, and this knowledge is meant to reach to more people. You feel free to use it, follow it, and also share it with others if you feel. Prakash Vishnu Bide, can you unmute him and find out where he is? answering the same question in a different context, simply said one thing: a good student will get definitely a good guru. And he quotes us to say, what if the student is sitting on top of Mount Himalayas, far away from all life and all? Then he says Vishnu will take a form of a bee and come all the way there, like a bee searching a flower, and give him the knowledge. So your job is to not worry about the false guru or a good guru, because that is worldly transactions. As long as your mind has become sincere in this pursuit, which is the focus, which I have found out is the means for realization or the means for knowing the truth, that focus is what you have an option. So you concentrate on what you can do and forget whether guru comes. He will come when you need it. He will come. See, initially the scriptures and these satsangs that you're having is the guiding factor. A guru is required only at the last stage, when we have to be pushed from the complacent lifestyle that we have into a lifestyle of a renunciate. That is when you will require a guru. But for knowing the knowledge and contemplating on it and understanding on it, satsangs and pravachans which are available, courses that are there in SIP, these are all good means for you to take it up. There's no issues there. Especially when we were in Atlanta, we did not have even an acharya there. So pretty much our contact with the scriptural texts that were published by Chinmaya Mission is the only means for us to keep in touch. And then when we spent sufficient time, a guru happened in our life when we resigned from the job, and both of us came back to Chinmaya Mission, and Acharya happened. It's all, in hindsight, I will say, I have personally witnessed the grace of God descending when we made the choice. But your job is to make the choice, and it's not too late. That is the only message I would like to leave with you. Jai Shri P. Hari Om. Jai Shri Amma. Can you unmute her, please?
Oh, Hari Om Ram Mohanji. It's good to see you. And it's, first of all, may I say thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. It makes so much sense. And I'm about to embark on the next stage, which is the Vanaprastha ashram. So I've been gradually, how shall I say, disengaging from a lot of the social functions. However, my issue is that and I do seva within the UK Centre Chinmaya Mission, but when you have a group within the centre and you make social contacts, and suddenly, well, I wouldn't say suddenly, but gradually when you take yourself away because you're not really interested in the after events of whatever happens at the mission, I've been, in a way, told that one really shouldn't suddenly cut off relations. I don't think I have suddenly cut off, but they said you'd have to engage in socializing, and which I don't find is my personality. How do I, and I don't want to, what is the word? Go against whatever they are saying. So could you just guide me how to keep an even keel on this, which is not an easy thing to do, I must admit.
The problem that you're facing is a problem of many of us who are in this path. Because we find that the world that we have so far inherited still has certain kind of bonds into us. There are three kinds of bonds that we are suffering from. Tamasic bonds are those bonds where we are keeping a relationship even though the relationship is not conducive for us. Rajasic bonds are those bonds which are actually good for our body and our temperament and our mind, but not spiritually enriching. And the sattvic bonds are bonds with Mahatmas in a personal way, not just for the knowledge, but it is sattvic. Like, you get attached to a particular Mahatma, you get attached to a particular group of people, that is sattvic bonds. Understand from Vedantic perspective, all are bonds, number one. But are you ready to give up these bonds? These bonds have to fall off on their own in a effortless, undisturbing manner. Meaning neither you should be disturbed when that bond falls, and nor should the other person feel that they are missing you. When we try to get into certain forceful methods of withdrawal, which is what many monks did, that they would run away from the family and go to Himalayas. But their physical running away did not detach them from the mental bonds they had with the home. So even in that guha where they were trying to meditate, their sons, daughters, what are they doing now? Will they be happy? All that thoughts keep coming. And it took a longer time for them to get out of those thoughts. But what I have understood from Vedanta is the factor that you should keep is hold your intellect firmly in the path of knowledge. Your mind will gradually follow. Don't force your mind into the path of knowledge first, because mind does not understand knowledge. It only understands emotions. So mind has to be allowed to follow the intellect, allow your intellect to become firm in the conviction that this is what is my life going to be. And your intellect will plan all its interaction with the world accordingly, and you will find that you will not hurt anybody, but you will become firm in your alignment to the path. It's a gentle process of, and don't worry if you win a few days and you lose a few days, it does not matter. They are all insignificant. The firmness of your intellect should remain irrespective of what happens to you, your mind or your body. That is the key. And usually the problems are only of our mind and body. Our intellect is always firm. But it was grossly firm earlier in materialistic thing. Now it has become subtly firm in spiritual pursuit. That is a change in the intellect.
Thank you very
So
much.
that will help you in this path, is my suggestion. Somebody else had a question, I think. A lot of chat. Is there any questions in the chat? So Pramila had the same question, same answer for you. Okay. Markande also says same as Jayashree. Yeah. Okay. As far as the copy of the presentation and the thing, definitely you will get it. Any other questions from anybody else? Can you, the other screen? Okay, I have to do it. Anybody in this screen? Okay. Those whose faces I'm not able to see, I do not know whether you have a question or not. So if you have a question, please feel free to, press that button, attention button, and then definitely I'll answer. Okay, looks like we are good. So shall we close today for this session? Thank you very much for being with me, because thank you for wonderfully being with me. You've been such a wonderful audience, participation, understanding, and you guided me today with whatever support you could do on the firmness of this knowledge. And I pray that the Guru Parampara's knowledge transmits through all of us and to the world around us. And that is my only suggestion and request to all of you. Shall we close? Om. Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.